In 1966, a spaceship named USS Enterprise began its 5-year journey on the small screen, and from there, the movie Star Trek was released and created a... But behind those classic characters are actors with very unique fates. Nearly 6 decades have passed. Time has carved different traces on their lives. Some continue to shine brightly in the sky of fame. Some choose a quiet path, and there are also those who had to stop their journey in tragedy. Let's look back at the ups and downs of the cast that made up the soul of Star Trek to see that real life is sometimes more dramatic than fiction. William Shatner as Captain. James T. Kirk. Captain Kirk is a symbol of courage, determination, and sometimes recklessness, an exemplary leader of the Enterprise crew in Star Trek. Captain James T. Kirk was the heart and soul of the Enterprise. With his confident smile, steely eyes, and the demeanor of a man born to command, Kirk left an indelible impression. He was the perfect balance between Spock's cold logic and McCoy's human emotions. William Shatner, then 35, brilliantly portrayed a captain who was both heroic and very human, making the audience believe that he could truly lead humanity to the distant stars. After the huge success of Star Trek, William Shatner's career took a colorful and surprising path. Not limited to the role of a captain, he constantly reinvented himself. The 70s saw him participate in many B-movie projects, but in the 80s he made a strong comeback with the Star Trek movie series and the popular police TV series T.J. Hooker. What is most admirable about Shatner is his ability to transform and his self-deprecating humor. He did not hesitate to poke fun at his own image in comedic roles such as Airplane 2, the sequel, or Miss Congeniality. His big break came in the early 21st century when he took on the role of eccentric lawyer Denny Crane in The Practice, and then Boston Legal, a role that earned him both an Emmy and a Golden Globe, proving his versatile acting talent far beyond his iconic role. In addition to acting, he is also an author, director, and even a recording artist with a unique spoken word style. William Shatner's personal life is as complicated as his career with 4 marriages and 3 children. He has had his ups and downs in relationships, but he always maintains an optimistic spirit and keeps moving forward. He is a horse lover and often participates in animal-related charities. His philosophy in life seems to be to never stop exploring, never stop working. He is always busy, always looking for new challenges, from writing books to participating in reality TV shows. The most thoughtful thing is the connection between the role and life. It seems that the role of Captain Kirk has strangely applied to his life. Just like Kirk always boldly goes where no one has gone before, William Shatner in real life also constantly breaks the limits. While in the movie, the character is a person who always embarks on adventures in space in real life. Shatner is constantly adventurous in his own career and life. Today, at over 90 years old, William Shatner remains a living legend. Not only does he continue his acting career, but he also became the oldest person to fly into space in 2021, making his fictional role a reality. His journey is a testament to his relentless drive, his youthful spirit despite his age, and continues to inspire the next generation that it is never too late to explore their own final frontiers. Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock. Mr. Spock, the half-human, half-Vulcan science officer, is the logical brains and one of the most beloved characters of the entire series. In Star Trek, Mr. Spock was the brain, the voice of reason, and a profound philosophical figure. With his signature pointed ears, expressive, raised eyebrows, and catchphrase, fascinating Spock left an indelible impression. The internal struggle between Vulcan logic and human emotion gave the character depth. Leonard Nimoy, then 35, portrayed that inner conflict with subtlety and haunting detail, making an alien character strangely relatable and sympathetic. After the success of Star Trek, Leonard Nimoy had a diverse and impressive career, proving himself to be a true artist. Initially, he struggled to escape the overwhelming shadow of Spock, even writing an autobiography titled "I Am Not Spock." However, he gradually learned to appreciate and reconcile with his legacy and later wrote a second book, I Am Spock. His career flourished when he moved into the role of director, especially with the two films Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, and Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. The film was highly appreciated both artistically and commercially outside the Star Trek universe. He also hosted the mystery documentary series In Search of, participated in acting on stage, and voiced many projects, notably as Sentinel Prime in Transformers Dark of the Moon. Leonard Nimoy had a fairly quiet personal life. He was married twice and had 2 children. In addition to acting and directing, he was also a talented poet and photographer, regularly organizing art exhibitions. He devoted much of his time to charitable activities, especially art support funds. He was respected by his colleagues and fans, not only for his talent, but also for his intelligence, kindness, compassion. He was a deep person, always thinking about life and art, much like the character Spock he portrayed. The most interesting thing is the connection between the role and his life. It seems that the role of Mr. Spock has strangely applied to his life, while on film Spock is a man who always seeks balance between 2 halves of his being in real life. Leonard Nimoy also spent his life balancing between his acting career and his diverse artistic passions, between the shadow of an iconic character and his real self. Spock is the embodiment of wisdom, and Nimoy in real life is also a wise and erudite man. However, that promising and dedicated journey had to stop abruptly. On February 27, 2015, Leonard Nimoy passed away at the age of 83 due to complications from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. His departure left a huge void in the hearts of his fans and the entertainment industry. His legacy is not only the immortal character of Spock, but also a thoughtful life story of a talented artist, a kind person who lived a full and logical life. His greeting, "Live long and prosper," will forever resonate. DeForest Kelley as Baxi Leonard Bones McCoy. Dr. McCoy is the moral compass and voice of human emotion aboard the Enterprise, often engaging in classic back and forth with Spock. In Star Trek, the character of Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy is the kind heart, the emotional voice of the crew. With a somewhat gruff personality but a warm heart, he is always the one to remind Captain Kirk of the value of humanity in the midst of difficult decisions. His catchphrases such as, "Has dead," "Jim," or "I'm a doctor," not all have become classics. The performance of DeForest Kelley, a veteran actor at the age of 46, truly and lovably portrayed the image of a dedicated doctor, loyal friend, and conscience of the Enterprise ship. Before he donned the blue coat of Starfleet, DeForest Kelley was a regular on westerns, often playing villains. His role as Dr. McCoy was a huge change and defined his career forever. After the series ended, he was practically synonymous with the role, although he did work on a few other projects. The love for Bones was so great that he spent most of his time meeting fans at conventions and reuniting with the cast of the Star Trek movies. Didn't have a career as explosive as Shatner's or as varied as Nimoy's, but instead chose a quieter path, content with the legacy he created. He once said that he would live on as McCoy, and he was happy about that. DeForest Kelley led a very private and simple personal life. He was happily married to his wife, Carolyn Dowling, for 55 years until his death. They had no children and lived a quiet life away from the Hollywood limelight. He was a lover of poetry and even published several volumes. In contrast to his image as a grumpy doctor on screen, he was a gentle, kind, and very humble man in real life. The most thoughtful thing is the connection between the role and life. It seems that the role of Dr. McCoy is a complete opposite of his fate while on the film. The character is a person who is always worried about illness and death, a cynic in real life. DeForest Kelley is an optimistic, simple person and has a happy marriage. McCoy represents human emotions, and Kelley in real life is also a man rich in emotions, but he shows it quietly and sincerely through his life. However, that peaceful journey had to come to an end. On June 11, 1999, DeForest Kelley passed away at the age of 79 after a long battle with stomach cancer. His passing left a deep sadness as the audience lost the ship's doctor. His legacy was not only a classic character, but also the image of a man who lived his life for love, a humble artist who brought warmth and humanity to one of the greatest science fiction series. Nichelle Nichols, Real or Real Yui Girl Whore. Signal Officer Uhura was a groundbreaking role model, one of the first black female characters to have a significant role on American television. In Star Trek, Lieutenant Nyota Uhura was more than just a communications officer. She was a symbol of breaking barriers. With her elegance, intelligence, and professionalism, Uhura was an indispensable member of the bridge. Her role was one of the first on American television to portray a woman of color in a position of power and respect. At 34, Nichelle Nichols' performance was a masterful display of elegance and intelligence, paving the way for countless actors and characters to come. Nichelle Nichols' journey was even greater than her role. After the first season of Star Trek, she intended to leave the series to pursue a career on Broadway. However, in a chance encounter, the great civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. convinced her to stay, saying that her role was an important role model for black children across America. Nichols took that advice and made history. After the series, she devoted her life to promoting space exploration. She worked with NASA on a special project to recruit women and minorities as astronaut candidates, and her campaign was wildly successful, bringing back pioneering astronauts like Sally Ride, the first American woman in space. Nichelle Nichols has been married twice and has a son. She was a talented singer before becoming an actress and has released several albums. Her life is a testament to her tireless dedication to both art and social activism. She has always been a strong voice for equal rights and has used her fame to create positive social change. The most interesting thing is the connection between the role and her life. It seems that the role of Uhura has strangely translated into her life. While on the show, Uhura connects the Enterprise to alien worlds, opening new channels of communication in real life. Nichelle Nichols has become a bridge between NASA and underrepresented communities, opening doors of opportunity for them to reach the stars. She has turned her iconic role into a real mission, but that inspiring journey had to come to an end. On July 30th, 2022, Nichelle Nichols passed away at the age of 89 due to heart failure. Her passing left a void that could never be filled, but her legacy is eternal. She was not just an actress, but an activist, a pioneer. Her legacy is not just her portrayal of Uhura, but a life story of using art to change the world and inspiring millions to dream. Grace Lee Whitney as Yeoman Janice Rand. Yeoman Rand was Captain Kirk's personal assistant, notable for her striking beehive hairdo, but her character was mysteriously written off after the first season. In the first season of Star Trek, the character of Yeoman Janice Rand was a potent presence. As Captain Kirk's assistant, there was an unspoken romantic tension between them, a relationship that could have been explored further. With her elaborate blonde hair and professional demeanor, she was part of the series' original image. Grace Lee Whitney, at age 36, brought beauty and grace to the character. However, her character abruptly disappeared from the series after only 8 episodes, leaving many questions for the audience. Behind that disappearance was a turbulent personal story. Years later, Grace Lee Whitney bravely revealed that she had been sexually assaulted by a studio executive during production, which she believed was why she was fired immediately to avoid scandal. The incident sent her into a dark period, struggling with alcohol and drug addiction for years. However, with the help of Leonard Nimoy, she found her way back. She returned as Yeoman Rand in the Star Trek movies, bringing closure to her character. She became a substance abuse counselor and devoted the rest of her life to helping others in similar situations. Grace Lee Whitney was married twice and had 2 children. Her life was a journey from darkness to light. She turned her trauma and mistakes into strength to help others. Her autobiography, The Longest Trek, My Tour of the Galaxy, is an honest account of the ups and downs of her life and career, a story of survival and redemption. The most thought-provoking aspect is the connection between the role and her life. It seems that the character's fate tragically overlapped with her own. While on screen, Yeoman Rand was a discarded and forgotten character. In real life, Grace Lee Whitney also experienced the feeling of being abandoned by the entertainment industry after a terrible incident. However, she was stronger than her character. She fought, came back, and found a new purpose in life. A legacy that was more meaningful than her on-screen role. But that resilient journey had to end. On May 1st, 2015, Grace Lee Whitney passed away at the age of 85 from natural causes. Her passing closes a tumultuous but also incredibly inspiring chapter. Her legacy is not just the character of Yeoman Rand, but also a powerful story of survival, the courage to face the truth, and the power of forgiveness and recovery. She was a true survivor. James Doohan as Montgomery Scotty Scott. The Scottish chief engineer Scotty is the man who can perform technical miracles to save the ship from the most dire situations. In Star Trek, Montgomery Scotty Scott was the brilliant chief engineer and magician of the engine room, with his thick Scottish accent and boundless love for his Lady Enterprise. Scotty was the one Captain Kirk could count on in his most desperate moments. His line, "I'm giving her all she's got, Captain," became part of pop culture legacy. James Doohan 46 portrayed the lovable, passionate, and dependable chief engineer, inspiring a generation of real-life engineers. Before he became chief engineer of the Enterprise, James Doohan was a real-life hero. He served in the Canadian Army during World War II, participating in the D-Day landings and being severely injured, losing the middle finger of his right hand, a detail he often skillfully concealed on screen. After the war, he became a popular voice actor and extra on Canadian radio and television before moving to Hollywood. The role of Scotty changed his life after Star Trek. He became deeply attached to the role, becoming a popular guest at science fiction conventions. He was proud that his character encouraged many young people to pursue engineering. James Doohan had a rather turbulent personal life with 3 marriages and 7 children. However, he found lasting happiness with his third wife, Wenda Brownberger, who was by his side in his later years. He was a devoted father and a warm-hearted man who was always happy to interact with his fans. He had a great sense of humor and was always willing to share stories about his time on Star Trek. The most interesting thing is the connection between the role and his life. It seems that the role of Scotty has strangely translated into his life. While on film, Scotty is a fixer, a problem solver in real life. James Doohan is a resilient soldier who has overcome the harsh challenges of war. Both are heroes in their own way. One is a hero of the spaceship, the other is a hero of the real world. But that heroic journey had to end. On July 20th, 2005, James Doohan passed away at the age of 85 due to complications from pneumonia and Alzheimer's. His passing was a great loss, but his legacy lives on. According to his wishes, a portion of his ashes were sent into space on a final trip to the stars he had conquered on screen. His legacy is not only the immortal character of Scotty, but also a story of courage and endless inspiration for those who dream of reaching for the stars. Walter Koenig as Lieutenant Pavel Chekhov. The Russian navigator Chekhov was added in the second season, bringing youth and a bit of humor to the crew. In Star Trek, the character of Pavel Chekhov appeared in the second season, bringing a breath of fresh air to the bridge with his Beatle-style hair and a thick, though sometimes exaggerated, Russian accent. Chekhov was a young, enthusiastic, and sometimes naive navigation officer. He was always proud of his country, Russia, believing that all great inventions originated there, making for some memorable comedic moments. Walter Koenig, then 30, played this character with grace, capturing the enthusiasm of youth, and his character quickly won the hearts of audiences. Walter Koenig's career didn't stop with Star Trek. While Chekhov remains his most famous role, he proved his talent in another memorable villain role in a different sci-fi universe. Alfred Bester in the series Babylon 5. This role as a ruthless and intelligent Psi-Cop officer showed a completely different side of him, one that was much darker and more complex. In addition to acting, Koenig is also a writer, having written several television series and novels. He is also a lecturer, having taught acting and directing classes at several universities. Walter Koenig was married to his wife, Judy Levitt, for over 50 years. They had 2 children. His life was hit by a great tragedy when his son Andrew Koenig also, an actor, passed away in 2010. After this loss, he became an active spokesperson for mental health and suicide prevention, using his grief to help others. He was an intelligent, educated man who was always willing to share his knowledge. The most interesting thing is the connection between the role and his life. It seems that the role of Chekhov is a complete opposite of the real person. While on film, Chekhov is a rather simple, enthusiastic, and somewhat humorous character in real life, Walter Koenig is a man of depth, an intellectual who has experienced personal tragedies and turned them into meaningful actions. The role brought him fame, but it is his life and how he faced challenges that truly defines him. Today, in his 80s, Walter Koenig continues to act and write. He regularly attends fan events. His journey is a testament to resilience, the ability to find purpose even after great loss, and to continue to inspire the next generation with his wisdom and compassion. George Takei as Lieutenant Hikaru Sulu. The Sulu helmsman, with his calm and expert skills, was one of the most familiar faces on the bridge. In Star Trek, Hikaru Sulu is the talented helmsman of the Enterprise. With his calm, professional demeanor and friendly smile, Sulu is a representative of the diversity of the crew. Although he doesn't have as much screen time as the Kirk-Spock-McCoy trio, he is an integral part of the crew and always does his job well. George Takei's performance at the age of 29 portrayed a confident and competent Asian American officer, a positive role model in the television landscape of the time. George Takei's life was much more dramatic and meaningful than his acting roles. As a child, he and his family were interned in American internment camps for people of Japanese descent during World War II. This traumatic experience shaped him as a person, turning him into a tireless activist for social justice. After Star Trek, he not only continued his acting career in film, television, and theater, but also ventured into politics, serving on the board of directors of the Southern California Rapid Transit Authority. In particular, in his later years, he became a social media icon with millions of followers, using his voice to fight for LGBTQ rights and other human rights issues. In 2005, George Takei came out as gay and has since become one of the strongest advocates for same-sex marriage. He is happily married to his longtime partner, Brad Altman. His life is a balance of art and activism. He wrote his autobiography, To the Stars, which recounts his journey from concentration camp to the bridge of the Enterprise, an inspiring story of resilience and hope. The most interesting thing is the connection between the role and his life. It seems that the role of Sulu is the complete opposite of his fate. While Sulu is quiet, dedicated, and rarely expresses his personal opinions on screen in real life, George Takei is a strong voice, a tireless activist who always stands up for what he believes in. The role gave him a platform, and he used it to create a legacy that was even greater than the role itself. Today, in his 80s, George Takei continues to give back. He continues to act, voice, and is a force on social media. His journey is a testament to overcoming adversity and using personal experience to create positive change. He is not only an actor, but also a community leader, an inspiration to those who believe in the power of the individual voice. Christine Chapel-Lwaxana Troy, dubbed the First Lady of Star Trek. She was not only the wife of creator Gene Roddenberry, but also played many roles in the franchise, most notably Nurse Chapel. In Star Trek, Nurse Christine Chapel was a quiet but significant presence. With her unrequited love for Mr. Spock, she brought a romantic and human touch. To the ship's medical wing, Majel Barrett had originally played Number One, a strong and rational female officer in the first pilot episode, but the role was scrapped because it was deemed too assertive. Majel Barrett, then 34, faithfully portrayed the dedication and affection of Nurse Chapel. A more feminine role, but still an important part of the crew. Majel Barrett's life and career are inextricably linked to Star Trek. She married creator Gene Roddenberry and became the First Lady of the franchise. Her dedication is unparalleled. Not only did she play Nurse Chapel in the original series and films, but she later reprised her role as Lwaxana Troi, Deanna Troi, loud and colorful psychic mother in Star Trek: The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. But perhaps her greatest legacy is her voice. She was the voice of most of the computers on Starfleet ships for decades, from the original series to the later films. Her marriage to Gene Roddenberry is one of Hollywood's most legendary love stories. She was his partner, his colleague, and the guardian of his legacy. After Gene's death in 1991, she took on the reins of his unfinished ideas, producing two more sci-fi series, Earth's Final Conflict and Andromeda. She was a strong, determined, visionary woman, a real-life version of the character she played. What is most remarkable is the connection between her role and her life. It seems that she was destined to become the voice and soul of Star Trek. While on the show, she was Nurse Chapel, caring for the crew, and later the computer voice guiding them in real life. Majel Barrett Roddenberry was the caretaker and keeper of the Star Trek legacy, ensuring that her husband's vision would live on. She was the embodiment of dedication, both on screen and off. But that journey of dedication had to end. On December 18, 2008, Majel Barrett passed away at the age of 76 after a battle with leukemia. Her passing was a huge loss to the Star Trek family. Incredibly, even before her death, she had completed recording the computer voice for the 2009 Star Trek film, a final farewell gift. Her legacy is one of love, loyalty, and tireless dedication to a dream that reached the stars.